Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Hopefully, your day has gotten off to a good start. It's good to see you. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This is for the sign of Cancer, and you've made it to your monthly reading. As always, I like to take a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks. I always like to work 1 month in advance, so we'll be taking a look at January. But if you're joining live in December, don't worry, because this is going to give you everything that you need to be prepared. And a lot of times as we look at the past, especially in the spread, there's going to be things that are relevant right here and right now. So it's good to see you. You can always use this also for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus, any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. I actually go into Sun, Rising, and Moon a little bit later in the forecast, so please do stick around for that portion. I always like to begin with channeled messages at the very beginning, and then we'll work our way into the Celtic Cross, where initially I'll just let Spirit come through and show us what we need to see, and then we'll go into specific areas including health, wealth, love, and destiny. If you're brand new, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. You can also hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any future videos. My schedule next week will be a little bit unusual because, yay, I'm actually moving this into an apartment out of Airbnb. So probably Monday I will not be working. We'll see, because I need to prepare for that. So more to come. Otherwise, I'm usually live every Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. We'll still have the weekend collective, but the beginning portion of the week will be a little bit different. Feel free to follow me across social media. Another way to stay in touch, actually, that's why I was taking a minute before I got started. I always like to tweet out a reminder and put things on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms. I'm even on some new and emerging ones as well. So do give me a follow if you'd like. If you'd like to show some love and support, you can do that through SuperStickers, Super Chat, and through memberships. I'm starting to do member-specific videos as well, so thanks to anybody who participates. One last note, I don't give private readings, and I don't use direct messages, so if someone on social media messages you and offers you something, it is not me. You can block and report them. Okay, all of that being said, let's get into the channeled messages for today. For me, the way that I connect with channeled messages is largely through dream interpretation, but also through meditation, and then the research that I do as I bring all of this together. Hummingbirds were very much in my dreams the past couple of nights. 2 nights ago, I saw, I wouldn't really call it like a swarm, but they remind me of bees, but there was a lot of hummingbirds. And one of them was actually drinking a lot, like a lot of energy, a lot of things coming through. And to me, this is one of the best possible nature totems that can come through because it represents high frequency energy. And also it's a pollinator. I didn't even put this in the slides that I'll be showing you in a moment. But to me, that represents wealth and abundance that's incoming. What I'm going to focus on today as we're talking about things is how to stay on top of stuff, because the hummingbird, it can be a little territorial. It needs rest. We'll talk about all of that as we delve into this. But as I said, one of the best symbols that could come through for any sign. So I feel like you're right on the precipice of something great. And we just had that full moon last night that was pretty intense, where I think it was it Mars? It was hidden for a few moments. I walked out with the dog last night, took a look at it. I may do something today if I have time, and we'll talk a little bit about how to embrace the full moon energy. But suffice it to say, I feel like this is a chance for things to start to get easier, particularly as we're looking at January for you. So the hummingbird represents growth, rebounding, and then some sprints of energy. To that end, here we go. When you look at a hummingbird, most of the time we think of it as just going from point A to point B, and it's really fast. You can hear it actually if you have decent hearing. It's this high-pitched hum, just that's why it gets the name. And partially this is because of how fast they fly, 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers per hour. That's as fast as a car, folks. Like if you're in just a standard, speed limit, that's pretty amazing. This is going to also represent for you a period of time where you might be asked to sprint. But in order to kind of understand that, it's also important to know that hummingbirds during the evening hours go into something called torpor, which is this really slow and quiet phase where their heart almost stops. They basically just sit there and almost freeze on a branch. And so you can't sustain the sprint forever. So it'll be sprints and stops and sprints and stops. And it's kind of like you're looking at the overall progress and batting average, you can't just continue to go, 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 go. And so pacing yourself is going to be important, which is why I featured 2 cards on this slide. The Six of Pentacles in the lower right portion is really showing the importance of understanding how and when to stretch. And so you could say, well, I can do this today, but this is going to have to go, and wait until tomorrow, or I can help you, but I can't help you. There's some choices there. You can still probably do everything you want, but you're going to have to, in the moment, trust your intuition and juggle a little bit. And then the Knight of Swords, we're going to be using this deck today. I'm using the Lightseer's deck. I love this card because you can see him getting up, getting ready, and thinking, I'm going to sprint, and then I'm going to get to go even a little bit faster because he's got a motorcycle. So you can make up for lost time. You can get a lot done. You may have 2 or 3 moments where there's going to be some sprints. And the important thing for you is to know that how much you can push yourself, and then when it's time to rest, okay? Today's card, when I was pulling for everybody, was the Seven of Wands. And when I did the weekly collective, I believe it was the Magician. So you can put the two together and you could say, you have the power to do anything, but you have to know boundaries, where to push, where to pull, where to sort of let go, okay? So again, at the end of all of this, you could just basically say it's about pacing, sprinting, recharging, pacing yourself, okay? The boundaries that I was just talking about are coming in here. I wanted to take it a step further with the Justice card, not just the Seven of Wands. One of the reasons that this comes through is if you've ever had a hummingbird feeder, or if you've just been around, this beautiful garden where there's a lot of flowers. If there's something that's really tasty, or again, if it's a feeder, the hummingbirds get very territorial over these feeding spots, and they'll dive bomb one another, and you'll see them flying through the sky and kind of chirping at each other, almost like you would hear a squirrel getting angry. So they definitely have territorial or boundary issues. We could have also put the Moon card here because it can represent that territorial energy. So I think there's a time and a place for that. But the way that you can avoid needing to sort of get to that accelerated point is by communicating expectations at the beginning, establishing boundaries, and consistently keeping those boundaries, not sort of letting people test you and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, if I push hard enough, they'll say yes. So if you say no, mean no. And then also put out the success criteria. This is like super businessy, but I think it's even good in a relationship or in any sort of partnership where you let someone know how you need them to show up, roughly speaking. And if it is something business related, or if you are doing something where you're expecting something in return, get it in writing. It's an important period. We're going to be easing between a retrograde period, end of December, beginning of January. So I would say until the middle to end of January, you're going to want to make sure that you scrutinize contracts and that you don't want to just have it on a handshake. Make sure that something does get down in writing. So the good news, though, is I feel like there's a lot of able-minded people. And the thing is, maybe they just want their piece of the pie or their credit where credit is due. So that's where you're going to get like a lawyer or someone to help out with that, because too many strong people in a room, sometimes it's difficult. So you can get a mediator there as necessary. Okay. Moving into the next piece here. Hummingbirds are the only birds that can fly forward, backwards. They can also hover in midair, fly sideways, and even upside down, which is kind of amazing. The only thing that I can kind of think of that's almost as flexible is when we're thinking of fish, different types of fish that can go in different directions. So I picked the World card. It's the final card in the Major Arcana. It's the most expansive. It's the biggest sort of bird's eye view card I could imagine. And that's what this is all about. Seeing it from all angles, not just in the weeds, not just in your box, but going way above and seeing it there. You may be very big picture and someone else may be very fear-oriented or very sort of data-driven, and your job is going to be to try to help them see maybe the midpoint. Don't let someone try to put you in their box or a box because it feels like you're supposed to be expanding beyond that. Hierophant Reverse could have also been a card that I could feature here. But the world is what it's all about because you're getting ready to go further beyond this moment in time. So hummingbirds eat a lot, or they drink a lot more correctly there, up to 2 times their body weight. And so if I'm looking at this as a totem, it represents the ability to consume, absorb, or drink in. So there's a couple things that I could think of here. And the one that I think will be most beneficial is Eight of Pentacles. So when we're thinking of consuming data or absorbing information, that's a very good sign, and that portends good things. It also means that you have the ability to not just take in, but also move and channel. So it cuts both ways here. One thing that I would give you as a piece of advice here is not to try to perfect in real time or edit in real time. When you are conceptualizing, it's best to just get it out. So I'm a writer, but I also spent a large part of my career as a designer, visual designer. So I designed websites and logos and experiences, UI. One of the things that you want to do when you're getting ideas is simply to record them, draft them, sketch them out. You'll have plenty of input, trust me, from other people. You'll have plenty of time to get all of those things pixel perfect or letter perfect later. If you aim for the perfection right at the beginning, it just kind of freezes you in your tracks because you feel like every word, every pixel, every step has to be amazing. It's like learning to ride a car or drive a car or ride a bike or walk one step at a time, and you get better with practice. So don't sort of lose your momentum by trying to be the best. Just get it out there. Composers know this too. They do a demo first. And there's a jam session sometimes too, where musicians just express themselves and see what happens. Maybe it's messy, maybe it's perfect, who cares? So that's kind of what I would like you to do, is to just to allow yourself to drink in and be in that creative process. And that's a nice way to get to the last card here, which is to basically absorb and have fun, and also remember that playful piece. So I could have picked any of the Cups cards, but I was drawn to really look at the 10 of Cups because I don't want you to go so fast over the next 6 to 8 weeks that you don't enjoy the scenery, that you don't enjoy the moment, that you don't enjoy yourself, and that you don't celebrate and have some fun. After all, this reading is hitting right over the holiday season, right? So we're going to have all of the major holidays plus New Year's just on the horizon. And I want you to have fun if you're watching this, again, in real time. And even in January, make sure that you're still spending time with the people that you love. So I know that sometimes we don't realize this until through the lens of nostalgia. Like you wish you could go back and live one more day of high school. Or for those of you that have lost a loved one, you think, I would just have like one more lunch with you or one more phone call, right? So make the one more right now. Pick up the phone and talk to someone that's living, that you care about. Spend some time today doing something you love with someone that you love, including your fur babies, whatever it takes, so that you're never going to look back and think, I wish I could have done a little more. Okay. So even with all this busyness, there's also a lot to celebrate. All right. Before we move on, I'll quickly review this and then we'll get into the main spread. So again, you have the beautiful hummingbird that came through loud and clear today, reminding you that there's going to be not one, but probably 2 or 3 peaks where you're going to be asked to really push forward over the next 6 to 8 weeks. You're going to need some valleys with those to rest. So make sure that you're not just going to the point of exhaustion. So we don't want a 10 of swords moment. Remember to, if you don't get what you need, by the way, when it comes to clarity, ask someone. Say, what do you expect out of this? How much can I do? How little can I do? So ask the questions if you need to. So either get the criteria or set the criteria and boundaries and stick to them. All right. Get anything that you need in writing, have someone take a look at it. There's a lot of flexibility and a lot of expansiveness with this particular month and with this totem. So don't let someone try to box that or limit that. Allow yourself to just be a channel and get it out there. You can make it perfect later and have some fun along the way. Remember to see the scenery. What fun is it to get to a destination if you sleep the whole way, right? It's nice to see where you're going and what's going on, and not to just sort of think, wow, that happened way too fast. All right, so welcome everybody. If you just joined, we're going to be getting into the Celtic Cross. Everybody's welcome today. Yes, you can use it for sun, rising, and moon. And I think that covers everything. Again, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. I have my furry assistant here, Apollo, who's holding some space for us. And we're going to get into the card spread now. So channeled messages are done. Into the Celtic Cross, everyone. Good to see you. How are you doing today? Hopefully well. It's good to see everybody. love it that we got a couple aces already. Okay, just take a quick drink and then we're going to get into the messages. I had someone asking about my foot. It's feeling a lot better. Many of you may have known that I had a fractured metatarsal. I'm out of the boot. Still some healing to be done, but feeling a lot better. Thank you. And I'll be feeling even better next week when I'm finally in an apartment. It's been a long journey there. So thanks to everybody for asking. Appreciate it. Let's get back into you in this moment here. So we have the Catalyst card here. It's reversed, but let's read it upright. It says, life is better together. So if you remember, we were just looking at that beautiful 10 of Cups at the close of all the channeled messages. And that was part of the reason that I chose it. I thought that people were going to be an important piece to that. It can't just all be about deadlines, about, the bottom line. There has to be a reason, a rhyme and a reason that we're doing all of this, right? So even for those of you that aren't partnered, it can be the friendships. For those of you that don't have children, like me, it could be this little puppy. There's a lot of things that get you through the day, right? Spend some time, have some fun. They're always there for you, be there for them. It says, seek assistance from your community, exactly what I was talking about in the channel messages. Connect with family, friends, or others who will support you. It can be as simple as making a phone call. That was actually nice and succinct. I like the message here. The fact that this is in reverse is telling me that many of you are the caretakers, peacekeepers, givers, and you may have a more difficult time picking up the phone and saying, hey, I could use some help. Or, what do you think about this? Asking for advice, things of that nature. All right. So spend a little bit of time establishing, connecting, or really just sort of fostering for some of you that sense of community. And I think that's going to help in ways that are actually maybe even surprising to you. It's important to have that extra help in your life. All right, let's take a look at your center cards and see what's going on here. I like that we have the Page of Cups right at the center. We have the Eight of Swords on top of this. So for some of you, it may be difficult to understand why there's so much love and support. Do you see that incoming? We look at the deep past and there's a story that's kind of shaping up with this. The Four of Pentacles is a limiting card or protecting card. This is a card where you have difficulty in seeing all the love that's coming through here. And I definitely see some healing going on for many of you. But there's more good than there is negative. And I would say a lot of this is just fear or recovery. So I'm going to try to do my best to help you through that. Let's begin with this center card, the Page of Cups in reverse. With the Page of Cups in reverse, first of all, we'll look at it upright. We see someone here that is being challenged to keep their chin up, to see what's possible, to imagine that the sky's the limit. I love the little flying pig up there by the cup, which is basically saying, yeah, sometimes you may worry too much and think, well, when pigs fly, that'll happen. Well, don't make it so, it doesn't have to be absurd like that. It could just be, you know what? I believe in the capacity for miracles, or I believe in the capacity that I could be surprised by how abundant and supportive the universe is. So, and you never know what's impossible until you reach or try. And that's basically what this is saying. Some of you have been taught to pull it in, rein it in way too much. And this is saying, don't sell yourself short like that. Okay. We see some people in the background there showing love, showing support. And it almost looks like the little atomic, like an atom symbol in the center of that. So I see someone has some chemistry or has this, or is picking up on this kind of magnetism of you. You don't want to turn the magnet in the other direction and push them away because of fear, because of doubt, because of others' projected limited thoughts that have kind of like a barnacle, taken hold of your mental space. So suspend disbelief, imagine that things could be possible. Let the universe show you how and where some of those limits are, okay? There could be love coming in. There could be a really great offer on the table. This is a card of discernment as much as it is, self-confidence. I was just talking about it. The self-confidence piece really only comes through when it's reversed. But as far as discernment, you can be picky. And there may be something where it doesn't feel right for you. It's not good enough for your heart, or something of that nature. And if that's coming through, you observe that. That's fine. So you just expect the best and accept nothing less than what you are looking for especially when it comes to love. This card is saying it's good to be picky, it's good to have standards, etc., etc. All right? I think some of you are afraid of falling head over heels, because that's really what this would be. If I were to read it like in the reverse, we have the head over the heels, and some of you just want to keep your feet on the ground, which is why this is here. But until we sort of surrender to the energy of love, until we allow ourselves to be head over heels, it's kind of hard to know if we're going to get lost or if we're going to be just fine. So don't be afraid to surrender or feel that sense of joy. It's like a roller coaster. There's ups and downs, but that's love, that's joy, and you don't want to sort of like keep that from coming into your life. Starve yourself of that, okay? Now let's take a look at what's crossing it. We're going to read this as upright because it's crossing it, so there's really no reversals in that. I love this Eight of Swords because it shows the illusion that's often a piece of this card. We could ostensibly believe that that is all that's happening. We see this person, they're looking up, they're trying to find some answers. When they look into the mirror, they see the critical. They see what's wrong with them. You and I see the truth, which is this person's okay. They're going to be fine. So what you really want to be focusing on is the things that you know for sure, the things that you can control, the things that are within your realm or sphere of influence. The things that are out of that, there'll be a time and a place for it. I'm not saying not to deal with things. I'm saying what can you make the most impact on? There's always going to be a level of ambiguity or unknown in life. Unfortunately, that's just part of the human experience, but it's kind of a test for our hope, our faith, and it's also there to just kind of remind us, you can kind of figure this out in real time, okay? So you're not going to get everything sorted out at the beginning. This is also a card that, like I said earlier, if you're trying to figure out a contract, this is the one time that I want you to be picky. So if you don't have an idea for like what the parameters are, if something's murky or not explained in the correct way, then definitely ask about it here. But otherwise, be open to some happy surprises in life. The Two of Swords and the Eight of Swords can sometimes just be the universe wanting to surprise you, and you're afraid to see what it has to offer. So don't be afraid, okay? Going into the deep past, this is the karmic energy or the karmic lesson. Four of Pentacles is, it's showing me that you're ready to let go, though. So let's look at the card upright. We'll look at it upright first. So we see someone holding a coin purse close to her heart, not wanting to let others see what's inside. The reversal of this is saying, I don't have to edit myself. I don't have to be afraid anymore. And it's also saying that just because you saw something in the past and that's all that was there, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to be all that's there in the future. So this is about releasing the sort of cap, energetic cap that might have once been there and saying, all right, show me more. I'm willing and ready to receive more, because we actually see more incoming here. So there could have been people in your life. This can also represent love, by the way. So there could have been a love interest or a friend in your life that just couldn't give you what you were looking for. But you're walking away from that. We can even see the knight walking away from that, walking towards abundance now. We see this trail of energy or money or resources following the knight. So that's the past. This is what's coming. This is recent past. So this is what you've been sowing over the past few years. You've been working on yourself. You're stronger than that woman with the coin purse. Now we see someone standing up. We see things following him wherever he walks. So there's an attractive energy here. And so see yourself moving towards abundance, away from this sort of desert of wanting or needing. And as long as you keep moving towards things that are expansive and supportive, you'll be fine. Some of you may be deciding to make a move for work. You might be sort of also in a process of getting some good traction, maybe some good feedback or press or coverage. I see this card with movement and people kind of following the breadcrumbs is what we see with this particular one. So keep doing what you're doing, and don't be surprised when we look at the crowning card if someone comes knocking on the door and says, hey, I'm interested in you. This interest could be love, like they want to date you, could be a job, or it could also be a chance to step up in your current job. Someone's interested. I see a lot of resistance as I'm looking at the spread here from you, because I'm looking at it from your perspective. And so we've got like aces, we have pages and a lot of great cards, but there's a lot of reversals on it. So this is saying, am I ready to put myself out there? Because it didn't work out in the past, even though I see you're doing okay. We see someone bringing in possibly like money or a job, possibly love, possibly both. And there's this sort of hesitancy, like, do I deserve this? So if there is that hesitation, if you don't see yourself that way, but others do, and they consistently start seeing value, then if everybody sees value and you don't, that's probably your own limitation. This is the one time where the peer sort of opinion would matter more, especially if it's positive. So if everyone's seeing a value, a quality, or trait, they see that you're, talented, beautiful, kind. These are good things. Don't question that. So start to see yourself in a different light and think, then I have a lot to offer. Yes, I'll try this. Or yes, let's hang out. Or okay, let's talk about the specifics of this opportunity in front of me. So at least entertain the possibility that you are worthy. And once you start to feel that energy of reciprocity, the questioning, the confidence, confidence will increase and the questioning will diminish. You have possibly two very different and difficult things that are pulling at you. This could represent two loves or two jobs, or it could be the balance between work and your personal life. Work-life balance is coming through. So, we talked about the sprints and the stops and also prioritizing people. I don't think it has to be an either or. If you work for the right kind of company, or if you're in the right kind of environment, they're going to let a blending of this happen. If they don't, then it's time to question, why am I spending so much time and energy in a place that makes me give up something that matters to me? And you shouldn't have to, spoiler alert. So that's what I see here is basically a need and an opportunity to find this perfect balance between some good stuff that's happening. I expected it to be a busy month. And it could, by the way, it could actually be up to maybe 3 things here, because we also have the page. So that's the 2 or 3 sprints. Again, this could be job, money, or some sort of resource incoming. And there could be 1 or 2 personal sort of energies that are tugging at you. It could be relationships. It could be something else. But I like what I see nonetheless. So we see some good stuff here. It's a good time to embark on new business or go to school. So this is very practical. It's a good time to follow your heart. It's a good time to fall in love. But there is that doubt. There is that sort of sense of self that needs to happen before all of this is really supported. Okay? Now let's take a look at where the way that you're showing up. I quite like it. We have the 3 of Pentacles. It's a slow and steady journey that you've been on, and you've been creating this sort of tapestry that's unique to your life. But the 3 of Pentacles represents a moment when others are about to see the value that you've been working to create. Let's just go to the traditional card for a moment, and then I'll talk about what this one kind of has to offer in addition to it. So here's your traditional 3 of Pentacles. We see 2 people taking a look. Sometimes it could be an inspector, but oftentimes this is just feedback saying, job well done, good for you. And in this card, we also see the sense of community, because this can be a teamwork and a community card as well. Everybody has a sort of part in this. So you're coming up as a team player. You're coming up this month with the energy of knowledge and the ability to finish something that you set your mind to finish. The 8 of Pentacles, which I featured, is about apprenticeship or absorbing knowledge. This one is about mastering it. So the cards are showing that you can go way beyond the 8 of Pentacles. You can actually finish whatever it is, and sort of like the cherry on top. There's this line in Pretty Woman where she asks him how much school he had, and he said, yeah, I went all the way. So you can go all the way with a project, to the finish line and beyond expectations, okay? I like it quite a bit. The one thing that I would say for you is to never feel like you have to do it just to please others. 6 of Wands and 3 of Pentacles always carry with it a need for validation. What I like about this is it's not about the validation. We see the 3 of them looking at each other and looking at the product. It's a big difference from this one where they're looking at him a little bit more than that. So judge it on the quality of the work, and the content is what's going to be king here, not so much what's popular, okay? Because years later, it's just like good movies, good music, and just important events in history. There are some things that are just popular and ephemeral. They have their time in the sun, they're 15 minutes. But then there are things that are significant landmark. So you have that sort of landmark energy if you want to do it coming through in January to make a significant impact in your life and in others. So that's sort of your grounding purpose. Is this something that's going to stick for a while? Do I feel really good about this? If so, move on. It's going to be good. All right, what's in the environment? A little bit of fear. So for some of you, this can represent where you're working. The 9 of Swords can be a high stress environment. It can be a feeling that I'm not being seen, that I could work until, my fingers bleed, until I get no sleep, until, the cows come home, and they're not going to be happy with it. That's not sustainable. And so you have 2 choices if you're in that kind of stressful environment. One is simply to pull back a little bit and let them stress out. Stress is kind of... it's sticky. It's going to go to the person that's most open to it. So if you just think to yourself, it's to some degree not my problem if there's too much work to do. We're going to have to share. And if you are not planning properly, I can work so many hours a day. I need so much sleep per night. And I have other obligations and a life outside of this office. And if that's not going to be enough, then obviously you'll find a way to communicate this, and you may have to find a plan B before you sort of let people know how you feel. But my advice to you is that it's at the end of your days, it's not worth it. When you are in spirit, looking back at your life with your guides in soul review, will you regret missing a meeting so that you could walk your dog, or that you could pick your kid up or see them in a play, or, travel to see a relative's 80th birthday or something like that? The answer is no. You're going to always say, I'm glad I spent time doing something that I loved, not being in a meeting where people were stressed and just talking about stuff. So you'll know when it's time to give and take, but don't let other people's stress become yours. Focus on your own self-care. The 9 of Swords can be a lack of sleep. It can also be a card where you just kind of go into a stress spiral, I'll call it, right? What if this, and then this, and then this, and then this? There's only so much in any given day that you can do to fix or address an issue. Do what you can, move on to the next thing. And it's something in your environment. So you're either around it or you're attracting it. So if you're attracting it, just breathe one step at a time. And if it's your environment and it's not you and it's just something that you keep putting your energy into, ask yourself why you're doing that. I think it has to do with the past. It's the need for validation. So this is feeling like I'm not enough. This can be overachieving because we have way too much. This is some validation, but there's a lot of stress to accomplish the validation here. So when is enough enough? That's also what this is asking, because we see that you've already solved for whatever lack this was. You've already shown the universe and yourself. Whether other people see it or not, it doesn't matter so much. It's just a popularity at that point. Okay? So I've given you some tools. This is environmental. This is possibly things that you're projecting out there. So try to step away from fear. Try to step into a sense of calm and confidence, which I think you've earned a chance to sort of be a part of your personality. All right, now we have 2 cards here about a shifting perspective. If I'm going to get the 5 of Cups and the 3 of Swords, I'm happy to get them reversed because it's showing that you're ready to look at things from a different angle. So we'll begin with hopes and fears. A very malleable position and a very malleable card in that position. So in the Five of Cups, you'll always see about 3 cups that are spilling and usually 2 that are behind the person. We see one right by her. We see her sort of dipping her foot in the pool of the other one. And so she's opening up to trying something new, which I kind of like. Let's look at the traditional card while I'm talking. The main thing that I would say with this is, yes, there may have been a difficult period of your time of life. You could have lost some opportunities, some money, maybe someone exited your life. Could have been a lot of different things that have presented challenges for you. But there is a blessing, more than one actually. So in this one, we can see the 2 cups behind the main figure. This one also very accurately shows what's part of this, which is grieving. We have to let go of what is past and think to ourselves, okay, yes, it's okay for me to be angry about that. This wasn't cool. That left. And that didn't feel, that stung a little bit. But then there's a bridge here. And the question is, when is he going to walk over this bridge that we see in the background, right? When is he going to pick up the 2 cups, which represent love and opportunity and a new beginning, and say, okay, let's go over there. Let's rebuild. You can even imagine that is almost like the tower that has been, that has crashed down, but now we have like the new foundation there. So this is not about recapturing the past. It's not necessarily about even fixing something. It's about deciding how to rebuild and how to learn from something that has passed, because sometimes the timing has already expired on both of those things. All we can do is rebuild ourselves, fix ourselves, and learn from our experiences. When we do that, we get into the magical energy that we see here in the foreground on this card. The Magician in this deck looks very similar, where we see the Magician swirling energy, and we see the symbols for the 4 elements around them. So it feels like you're right on that precipice. You're dipping your foot in the water and saying, I think I'll try. I think it'll work out. I'll take the I think. But let's move from I can or I think I can to I will and then I am. I can, I will, I am. But sometimes we have to even put one more step. I think I can, I will, I am. So work yourself through that, and that'll get you through the 5 of Cups. But there could also be someone who's interested in you and they're trying to get your attention. Again, there could be more than one person that's interested in you. We get more than one court card coming through here. And we have 2 very similar energies, which we'll talk about when we get into love. So be willing to look at the love and the abundance that's around you, okay? It's a time for healing. The 3 of Swords in reverse would be saying, I'm ready to mend a broken heart. I'm ready to overcome sadness or disappointment or things not going the way that I wanted. So if this card, we see the person pulling at the heart, we could imagine in this one they're mending the heart because it's the reverse of this. And if we see this person crying or screaming here, we could see them, in this case, feeling that sense of calm and that relief that happens after you have a good cry, right? There's a reason that we do it. We have to get energy out one way, shape, or form. So when you exercise, you perspire. When you laugh, that's another exchange. When you scream or cry, that's another way. Also, a good thing that you can do to detoxify is to drink liquids, because that's another way to pass energy through us. So focus on all the different releases that you can have, including dance and art, and also communication, including therapy. That's an important piece to this as well. But when we look at the most important thing here is the opportunity and the outcome are kind of, they're perfectly matched here. So this is healing, and this is seeing the love that wants to come through. You got to heal your heart first. You have to trust yourself for that to happen. It's already here, folks. You just have to accept it. This is near future. This is outcome. You actually see the heart in that Ace of Cups. So you just have to be open to receive. For some reason, there's a little bit of a disconnect. And as I expand the forecast here in just a second, we'll take a look and we'll see if we can get past that. If not, as I drill into the readers and viewers' choice, we'll have a chance to clarify that as well. All right, we're going to take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. This is where I get specific. I know a lot of readers go straight into your person or your money. I always do it in this portion so that I'm not sort of distracted by trying to find something. I just let it come up first. Okay, when I look at health, I'm looking at your free will, and I'm looking at perhaps like healthy opportunities and energetic, what could be like the healthiest energies for your life. When it comes to your body, when it comes to your mental health, obviously work with a professional in that. All right, that being said, let's take a look at the cards, starting with the Oracle card representing health itself. Exactly my disclaimer, reach out. And also what I had in the final card of my slides, which was the 10 of Cups. So you're not alone. That was actually even the message for the one card pull that I did today, the 7 of Wands, which is saying, you can delegate. You don't have to take everything on. You can do everything, but sometimes working hard is just working hard. You want to sort of work smarter. We see a lot of support here for you, and it wants to come in. It wants to be there for you. So the only question for you is, 1, are you willing to ask if you need it? And 2, if it's offered even without you asking, are you willing to receive it? It's already there. It's just a matter of accessing or accepting. So if you can do either of those, it's going to be an easier time for you, and you can basically leapfrog beyond the 9 of Swords, 9 of Swords and 3 of Swords. Okay, let's look at all of the cards here with respect to health. By the way, we also saw this here, life is better together. That was your catalyst. So reaching out, having the support of your community. All right. The 4 of Pentacles can be holding on to stress and memories and energy. It's centered around the heart, but it doesn't have to just affect, it's not just like hypertension or blood pressure. It can also be this feeling of, I can't let go of this. I can't let go of the feeling of guilt. I can't let go of the feeling of sadness. Because for some of you, it's comfort. This could also be almost like a security blanket. Suffering can actually be that way. In our grief and in our suffering, we have something predictable. When we let go of it, we open ourselves up to be exposed and to maybe have to fall again or have to experience that sense of joy and worry about disappointment. So sometimes when you just will or exist in that energy of I'm unhappy or sad or limited, and that's the way it's going to be, it's almost like a wall that you build up of protection. It doesn't serve you anymore, and that's what this is saying here. So open up your heart, talk to some people, allow for the love to come in. It really wants to come in, folks. And I'm not someone that focuses on love or opportunity unless I see it, and I see it. Okay. Definitely, whenever I get 8 of Swords, it's a card that can show vision issues or hearing issues. So anything's going on with that, obviously get that checked out. Also, 8 and 2 of Swords can just basically say, don't ignore something. And if you find someone that doesn't listen to you or can't connect with what you're feeling, then go to someone who can. So basically, make sure that you feel seen and make sure that you're being able to see fine. So vision, and then also that sort of sense of a doctor or a therapist that can really connect with you. Sleep quality and quantity, both are important, actually. We all need a certain amount, and we need a certain quality, and we need to go through certain levels. So that's something only a specialist can help you with if you're having issues. You, of course, can control things like diet, exercise, and kind of a consistency of bedtime, but the other things could be chemical or otherwise. So talk to a doctor if you're having issues there. Also, this is just stress in the environment. So if there's a toxic work environment, a toxic roommate, or just a lot of stress in your life, that's the main area of focus. And there's a lot of different ways that you can manage that. I think usually I read the 3 of Swords as just needing to get over something. It can be stress or disappointment. If you have a family history of heart disease, heart failure, or high blood pressure, then work with your doctors to make sure that you're monitoring that. That's something that I started doing in the past couple years because, my dad had heart failure and my mom had a stroke. So I always keep an eye on that and try to keep myself in decent shape. So once you get into, I would say 40s and 50s, that's something you want to look at a little bit more, but it's good throughout your whole life because what you do early is going to be the building blocks later, okay? Again, not a doctor, but you can work with your doctor on that stuff. All right, let's focus now on your wealth. Looking at wealth, we have the Desert Prince. Let's look at the card in particular. It says survival and false promises. So the first thing, let's just take it perhaps as the Ace of Wands, because all of the Ace cards take place in the desert. Like the Queen of Wands, she's sitting there in the desert. She has like the pyramids of Giza behind her. The King of Wands, he always has salamanders. It's a kind of it's fire and sand and desert. So when I look at this, before I even look at the caption, I just think to myself, Prince, which would be a knight. So it's Knight of Wands, work. This is about, do I feel the sense that I can move the needle forward? Or do I have a glass ceiling or a brick wall in front of me? That's where we have the false promises. So this desert prince is looking at the Seven of Swords. So the Knight of Wands, which is all about good ideas, great action, great follow through, he's being met with someone who he can't trust. The Seven of Swords is someone who says, yeah, I'll do it, but they don't, or promises him a promotion but never delivers on it. So I see a marrying of two tarot cards with this one. The good news here, and you can see it in his expression, he's like, nah, this isn't happening, not again. He's literally had his final straw, and you can see it there. We also have that sort of line that we would see with the strength card as well. So it's sort of like, don't mess with this person. So you are at a point where I think maybe you're at the final straw, or maybe you're just going to call out inconsistencies or inaccuracies or outright fallacies when you see them. That's going to help quite a bit. This will set you up as someone who is no nonsense. It's going to move you a step closer to the Queen of Wands, which is the boss, and it's going to get you into a different path. You've already done the work here. You're already a different kind of knight here, the Knight of Pentacles. So we see the value. Now we're going to see the leadership coming through. Okay? So I see this as a very good thing. And you're basically seeing beyond illusions. And you can survive and you can thrive anywhere. When we look at the Queen of Wands, I'll show you a couple of these cards as we're talking. She's always in that desert. Even the Strength card, they're all really golden, sunny cards. Here we see all this sort of growth behind her. So we have the lion or the tiger from that card. But yeah, even the Knight of Wands is in the desert too. You can see the pyramids behind him, right? And he's carrying that wand that has the growth on it. The Queen, same thing. She carries the sunflower. So she has the same pyramids behind her. She's got the sunflower. And the king, if I can find him, he'll be on the throne with the salamander. They're all fiery and strong and amazingly apt at what they're doing. So you can make this happen, folks. I'll see if I can get the King of Wands. What do you want to do? Well, you want to speak your mind unapologetically, not in a sort of like bossy way or anything like that, but just really stand your ground. Here's the king. And we can see the salamanders here. But again, if you ever notice that they're all in the desert. And so that means that they can create abundance. This is why the court cards in Wands are kind of fascinating, because they're the kings and queens of fire. So they throw things into the fire and they remold it. So if it's not working, mold it to make it work for you, okay? As I start to get more, many years behind me with tarot, I enjoy those particular kings and queens and knights because they're kind of magical. They're the fire breathers. So you're okay and people are underestimating you is what I'm seeing. All right, taking a look at the cards. Part of this has to do with your past. So the 4 and the 5 of Pentacles. 4 of Pentacles is more the limits that were placed on you in existing structures like school and it can be society too. We've gone past many of these, but this can actually, where the 5 of Pentacles can just be abuse, neglect, or lies, or mistreatment. The 4 of Pentacles could be limits from like sexism, racism, ageism, other things that have nothing to do with who you are. It's just something that people used to assign, like only this kind of person can do this. So we're in a new time where we're redefining things. You're the Knight of Fire based on that particular card. So you're going to remold, melt that sort of old energy down and say, but that's not me anymore. And that's not what I stand for. And that's going to be a big piece of the pie here, is letting go of the past. You are something different. You're shaping things. You're not fitting into the mold. Don't accept less than what you're worth. Ask for more. You probably will get it based on what I'm seeing here. Only take an opportunity that brings you a sense of excitement or passion. You owe it to yourself to not repeat a cycle where you're unhappy and stressed. So money, which some of you might have had in the past, will not be enough to overcome the 9 of Swords and the 3 of Swords. That's why the 5 of Cups is here. It's diminishing returns. 3 cups down, 2 cups up. You can't constantly go into that energy. So this is saying choosing the path of happiness, of strength, breaking down those old boundaries. And this time around, you're worth it. This time around, it's going to work because you believe it. You were worth it before, but now you believe it. And now other people will believe it too. And that's why it's going to work out. Some of you are writers that are watching me, or some of you are going to put something into writing that's important. I like to remind people this isn't just once upon a time type things. This is patents. This is musical composition, blueprints, for those of you that might be architects. Make sure you protect that stuff. We talked about that earlier, that you own your intellectual property for that. Okay? Good stuff ahead. And the overarching message here as we're looking at work is no more tiers, no more limits, nothing less than what you are worth. So, I would say more than you imagine. We're taking this old Four of Pentacles and breaking it. Now we have this sort of completion card and a new opportunity. It's the same Four Pentacles, but they're stronger when you split them up and look at them differently. So it was always there. You just couldn't see it, or they couldn't see it. And then we have this breadcrumb of energy following you. So I'm happy with where it's at. Don't be afraid to move for an opportunity. Don't be afraid to ask for more. And don't stick around in an environment that stinks. And that's basically, there's no better way to put it. That's what this is. It's something that isn't worth it. And we all kind of convince ourselves that, this isn't as good as it gets, and this isn't worth staying forever for those of you that are in it. Now, for those of you that are just wanting to make a difference, this can also be, I want to give back. I want to help people that are going through that. And I can definitely see a healing energy here too. Let's say things are hunky-dory with you. You could be deciding to do something more with teaching or outreach or something of that nature, okay? That's especially true for those of you that might be later career or retired, or again, just wanting to go into more of a healing sort of job. Definitely can see that in this spread as well. Now let's move on to love. Interestingly enough, we have a card surrounding health and love. These categories often overlap. So let's talk about this. It says, I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. Okay, I'm going to take care of myself. That is a lot of words for a simple statement. I matter, or I'll take care of myself. And it's a mind, body, spirit sort of thing. You can't give to the point of physical deterioration. So for those of you that are in a parental or healing or leadership role, if you give, and the candle's burnt and the fuse is spent, there's no more spark, the people that depend on you are left without that leader. So take care of yourself so that you can keep doing the work that matters most. So that's one piece of this. It's also saying that no relationship, because we're looking at this in the realm of relationships, is worth being unhappy or unhealthy. If the person around you, the person that you're with, so if it's your lover, if it's your business partner, if it's a coworker, if you're spending all your time with this person and they are unhealthy and then that makes you feel unhealthy, this is a call to action. Either fix it or release it, basically. All right? Now let's take a look at 3 different levels of relationships that I like to explore here. Those in a relationship, looking for love, or single and happy. If you're presently in a relationship, the message today is kind of interesting, actually. It feels like some of you want to make things work, but there is a lot going on in your lives. So you could have just been through one of these difficult years where things aren't going your way. What I like, though, is it does feel, we can see these 2 cards as the partnership and actually these 2 as the partnership. We see someone who's really grounded and giving a lot of support. We see someone who really needs a lot of support. So this is a time in the relationship where maybe there's a role reversal, and it could put you in a place where you're uncomfortable. Maybe your partner becomes the primary breadwinner or vice versa. Maybe the person that always had their head on straight is just kind of like in a darker place, and you've got to lift them up. So I see this balancing energy that has to happen in an existing relationship. And that'll be the most challenging piece, helping them see past their fears. You may need some help in this because the catalyst card tells a lot here. It says life is better together. So this could be something where you're at your capacity as a lover, as a partner, and you're going to say, I think we need to, maybe get counseling, or maybe there's friends and family that can help through. So for those in a difficult situation, my main message is don't try to do it alone. Ask for help in some way, shape, or form. Can you get through it? It's up to the 2 of you. I see a lot to fight for. I see a lot of love. I see a lot of healing. But the big question, it all kind of is in this one. If you see that there's a lot to love and your partner can see that there's a lot to love, the 2 cups that remain, then yes. If you keep pointing fingers, then no. If everything's okay in your life, this could also just represent an external pressure or pain that's going on around you, because as we look here in the environment, we have the Nine of Swords. So that could be a friend or family member. And then that stress just kind of eases into your relationship. So you want to remind the partner, or if you're going through it, they need to remind you that you both got each other's backs, that this is an external stress that shouldn't eat away at the two of you. Okay? So balancing, communicating, asking for help. I think those are the things that you really have to focus on in existing relationships. If you're looking for love this month, the most important thing for you before you enter into any date or any new relationship is the understanding that you are lovable, that history doesn't have to repeat itself, that you may need a little bit of time if you're on the rebound before you go back into a relationship. It looks like you have a lot going on your plate right now with the Three of Pentacles here. It looks like there's a lot of stress in your life, or a lot that's taking away your free time. So what's missing in this spread is something like Six of Pentacles that could help balance it out. Except for the Oracle card, we don't have any wands, do we? So the fire, the thought, the cognitive process is missing here. All right, so that's the other thing. It feels like some of you are just moving and feeling and focusing on money and other things, but you're not slowing down long enough to think it out, to think it through. Two of Wands is a planning card. Three of Wands is recognizing things are coming in. Four of Wands is looking at the love and the friendship around you. Six of Wands is friendship. Five of Wands is putting all the work together. Like, we need some fire. We need some wands in this. So I'll take a look at that. Slow down. That's why I said slow down. I see too much action, too much feeling. We don't want your emotions to get the better of you, or to solely base it on emotions. So interesting. That usually doesn't happen. Wands are usually present, but they're not here today. So slow down long enough to think. Can you find love? Absolutely. We've got the Ace of Cups here. Heal yourself first. Get your environment cleared out. Think before acting, and that's the most important thing. You have some of you have already met someone here, Earth sign, that's coming into your life, and it gets serious fast. This is kind of interesting. Are you ready for something serious, Cancer? Because Ace of Pentacles is a proposal. I mean, Ace of Cups is love. But this is someone who's like, maybe after the first date, they know that they want something longer term with you. They may be keeping it to themselves. You may also be keeping it to yourself, because this is, again, a card about not putting it out there. So if that's the case, then the question really is, how do you pace yourself there? Take your time. As I said earlier, I think that's going to be important too. I think that's everything. I do like that you have the capacity to bring in new love. And let me see if there's anything else that we want to focus on. No, I think that's it. I do see easing now into those that are single and happy, and this affects all of you too. There's a potential this month to make leaps and bounds when it comes to work with the Three of Pentacles. That could lead to a new opportunity. I do see, if we look at this on a diagonal here. So this is where your head's at. This is what you're calling in, and this is how people see you. So we see opportunity, we see people receiving that, and then we see more recognition and more movement there. A lot of stuff moving forward when it comes to school, work, and money. I like where that's headed. There could be something that triggers you. Again, we're just getting through the holidays. For those of you that have gotten a divorce, lost someone, dealt with a lot of pain, the holidays trigger memories, and you can kind of get the holiday blues. So make sure that you do reach out to people around you, as we talked about earlier. That's going to help. And ultimately, we still see healing as the big opportunity right now. But I like where you're headed with work and money. That's a good thing. All right. Let's focus now on your destiny card. Shine your light. We have Archangel Uriel coming through, and it says, thanks for helping me share my light with the world. This is the star. This is the hermit that became the star, basically. And this is the fire that we need. I like that the fire is coming through in the expanded forecast. It was missing in the main spread, but it's definitely here. So you have to sometimes be that voice of reason, be the optimism in the room, be the one that's going to say, here's how we're going to do it. I showed the King of Wands card. That would also be like the boss energy saying, let's not freak out. I have an idea. Let's try this before you freak out. So be cool, calm, collected, kind of like I was talking about with today's one card read. and then take that a step further and say, I really think we've got something here. I think I know how to fix it. Let's work together. Or two heads are better than one. Just say, we can figure this out together. Let's talk it through. So there you go. I like what I see overall. Let's take one last card here and get a big idea to see how everything is connected. All right. So what's this all about? What can Cancer focus on right now to make this work? The Lovers, yay. Okay, so again, for the third time, because we had the Reach Out card, which was coming through in health. We have the Catalyst card, which is Life is Better Together. We had my 10 of Cups that I pulled in the channeled messages. Now we have the Lovers reversed. So definitely this is a period where love and opportunity wants to come in. For some reason, some of you are thinking, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I deserve it. Maybe love is coming in a timing, in a way, in a shape, in a form that was unexpected, but nonetheless, it's coming through. So see what you can do right now to embrace this, because that's not always something that we see. See if there's anything else that I want to talk about with the Lovers. Only that it's one of the best magnet cards. So when this is reversed, the more that you doubt yourself, the longer you push away an opportunity that wants to come through. So I would say don't doubt yourself anymore. Let's take a look now at the blessings and the blocks for the month ahead. Blessings constitute the things that, of course, are going to bring things faster to us, and then blocks are things just like the Lovers reverse that could occasionally slow things down. All right, your blessing is the Five of Swords, believe it or not, and your block is the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. The Five of Swords. If I were to look at it as a blessing, it would be understanding when you are not necessarily going to have to put your energy into fighting something, okay? So there could be someone, we see them in the background. This could be your higher self just saying, don't do it, ignore that. It could also be someone trying to get your attention and get you to focus on something else. Sometimes we're too bummed out by something. We just look at it and we're like, oh, why this, why that? Meanwhile, something beautiful is opening up, something really cool is happening. And life is often that way. There's roses and thorns. We got to focus on the rose. There's always going to be a thorn. It doesn't detract from the beauty of the flower. So focus on the rose. That's really what this is saying. And listen to the voice of reason. This really looks like the voice of reason in this particular deck. It's not always that way. But this is your higher self because we see it connected to source. And it's trying to connect to you. So that could be a friend that just is like, don't sweat the small stuff. That could be, an advisor, or it could even just be your own intuition saying, I'll focus on something different. In the traditional card, we also see people in the background and they're stressed out. So one thing that you could look at before you decide to take a job, marry into a family, get into something, you're going to look at the environment and think, is it worth it? Because when we looked at your environment this time, we saw the stress in the way of the Nine of Swords. So in this one, you're looking around. He's looking at the people behind him, and he's thinking, okay, they're stressed out. That's not an environment that I need or want to be in. So this could be a chance for you to just see the writing on the wall way before you get involved and learn from the past, okay? So that's the way that I would see this as a blessing card. Your block is interesting because usually this would be positive, but reversed, it does carry an interesting message. Upright, Nine of Pentacles indicates a chance for growth, independence, sustainability, and really just very positive things. When it's reversed, it's saying, I'm blocking myself because I have to do it all on my own. I have to prove that I am independent. When in fact, there may be certain things that are better delegated. For instance, you don't have a degree in law. If there's a contract, a lawyer would be better. You may not have a degree in medicine. If there's something going on in your body, it would be best to talk to someone. The list goes on. You may not be the best mechanic. So rather than tearing all these wires out of your car, you take it to a specialist. There are times where for that final phase of the journey, you just work with an expert. You let go of the control and you know that I've brought it 90% of the way. This doesn't diminish my power or my capacity. If anything, it shows that I know where I need assistance and I'm not afraid to ask for help. So the block is being afraid to ask for help or being able to receive it. But otherwise, you've already done some great work. You've gotten yourself 90% there. Don't freak out on the last 10%. All right, let's move into viewers and readers' choices. All right, so for this, we're going to take a look at some burning questions based on the cards in front of us. All right, so let me just get a poll started here for all of us, and let's see what makes sense for today. So viewers' choice. Looking at the cards here, I definitely want to see what's going on with stressful environments. I'd also like to take a look at healing and rebounding. Another option for you to decide is sort of like how to decide between two difficult decisions. So making a difficult decision. Let me see if there's anything else that wants to come through. I'm going to look at the wand stuff. I guess you could be like negotiating for your worth. Okay, those are hard choices, folks. Good luck. Choose the one that you like the most. If there's a tie, I'll read them both. While you're looking at those, I want to understand why we didn't get in the main spread energy around wands, particularly when it comes to, like, I think it's like, what's the big picture? Like, what is it that you're afraid to look at? Because there is this sort of lack of vision. So let's try to help you sharpen your vision here. What is it that you need to focus on? That's what I'm going to ask in the cards, and we'll see. We got the Five of Wands. It's the work. So let's talk about this while you vote. Okay, so Five of Wands. You can do more together than apart, but one of the most difficult things with the Five of Wands is getting everyone to work at the same pace and look at the same thing. So we could actually tie these two together. What's missing is leadership, because he's basically like King of Wands energy. And we see this person reaching for the fire. We see a couple people reaching for that. There's a lot of competition whenever I see the Five of Wands. In a traditional spread too, everybody's pushing against each other. Nobody's making progress. So this, for instance, something to avoid over the holidays. This can be a conversation where everyone's talking at once at a dinner table. It can be a boardroom conversation where everybody needs something, but nobody wants to give and no one wants to pay. And in a sort of day-to-day office situation, there's redoubling of efforts. There's competition for visibility. So we need to, it's going back to what I talked about in the channeled messages. Let's pull that slide up for a second. But it boils down to establishing some boundaries. So let's go to this, and then I'll pull up the traditional card here as well. So where is it? Okay. Others may be testing your boundaries or acting in a way that is self-serving. Communicate expectations, establish boundaries, and put success criteria into writing, like get the contracts written. And that's going to help the dive bombing energy that I was seeing when I was talking about the hummingbird. And the tarot equivalent of hummingbird's dive bombing would also be potentially the Five of Wands meeting the moon card, for instance. So the main thing here is you're all kind of working for the same end, to the same goal. You're doing different things, but they should be complementary, not competitive. And that is what needs to be paid attention to in this moment in time. So leadership and a division of labor and a place where all of that kind of stuff is encouraged and welcomed. Let's see what you've chosen for me. Okay, by not a landslide, but a lot. We've got healing and rebounding. So the final card in this, the outcome card, I should say here, is the Three of Swords. So we're going to clarify the Three of Swords and see what we can do to help with the healing. It's a good question. Probably one that I would have pulled too. So let's take a look here and see what the message is from the universe. Okay. The Five of Pentacles. So now we're getting all the work cards. The fives typically represent a lot of work in your life. All right, so this was reversed, but let's look at it upright. So the cool thing here is you're actually ready to open the door. You're ready to allow yourself to experience new things in your life. There may have been a period in your time in your life rather, where a period of time in your life where there was a person who held center court and you felt like if they don't accept me, if they don't see my worth, if I don't get praise from them, then I'm not enough. Parent, mentor, teacher, or even a partner. That person isn't in the picture anymore, literally and sort of figuratively. So it feels like you've moved beyond that person, or they could have passed away, they could have divorced, they could have moved, but they're out of the picture. So now you're left to sort of pick up the pieces and decide, who am I now? What am I now? There's this, every time I see this card, it reminds me of a song by a really good British band, Everything But the Girl. And there's this song, 25th December, and it's very close to when we're reading. And I think it's about picking up the key or just turning the door. He says in the song, Ben Watts, one of the two singers, he's like, I always had the key, I always had the capacity, I just had to open up the door. So it was right there. It's right there. You have the ability. It's right at your feet. That was the lyric. So it's always there. It was right at my feet. So it's here, but the person's not looking at their own power or their own capacity. So you have what it takes to unlock potential, to open yourself up to new love. The main thing you have to do is just take that step and say, I can do this and I can do it alone. I'm the key. They're not the key. In some cases, they might have been the lock. The good news is you have the key and the door is open. All you have to do is walk through. I'm stretching the metaphor, but you know what I'm talking about. This also has to do with healing wounds from childhood. And it could hit in any number of ways. It could just be, a teacher that said something cruel, a parent that wasn't there when they needed to be, or resources that were lacking. Sometimes this is just a lack of abundance, not enough money, not enough food, not enough love. You needed more than you got, and it wasn't fair. But now you're the one that's in charge. This is also representing that you're the Hierophant now. You don't need the Hierophant. You don't need the gatekeeper. You're both the gatekeeper, the key, and the gate itself. It's more of a Gnostic sort of view where you are everything. Okay? So when you see that you can't, it's valid to feel angry and it's valid to want to blame people in the past, but it's more empowering to understand that it's about you now. And the most important thing and the one thing that you can absolutely affect and change is how you react to present and future situations, how you can release certain aspects of the past. And again, don't be afraid to reach out. This is beyond me as a tarot reader. That would require therapy if you need to work through that. But for everyone else, it's not limiting yourself, okay? You can get more than you think you can get. The 4 and the 5 of Pentacles, I mentioned that the 5 might have come through, so it's coming through now. But they're brother-sister cards, and they're dealing with different things. One wears fear as a blanket, and the other one was thrown things, was kind of like projected energies that made them feel that sense of lack of worth, lack of abundance. But it's in the past, folks, okay? It's in the past. This is you now. You are worth it. Okay, those were good questions. Those are good things. By the way, I forgot to mention because I've been talking, but today we're going to be looking at something special at the end. I'm going to look at the breakdown through sun, rising, and moon, and then we're going to go to the 4 quarters of the year. So I said it in the teaser graphic, but I forgot to say it at the beginning of the video. But anyway, we'll look at that after this next portion. First things first, we're going to look at sun, rising, and moon messages just to help us get a little bit more clarity. So if you happen to be Cancer, sun, rising, or moon, I'll give you that extra piece of focus right now. All right, let's go ahead and look at the cards and see what they have to say. Sun, rising, moon. Get out of town. It's all pentacles and it's all about balance. Okay, interesting stuff. All right. We'll start first with the Cancer Sun, 8 of Pentacles. I talked about this in your channeled messages. The way that I related it in channeled messages was that a hummingbird can consume up to 2 times its body weight. And I said now would be a really good time to drink in things, to soak in knowledge, to finish anything that you put your mind to. So we definitely see that here. And not only that, but so you're getting the complementary cards here. This is the beginning and this is graduation. This is apprenticeship and this is mastery. So especially for Cancer Sun, anything that you decide to put your energy into, I see a nice return on it. I love that she's lighting a candle of intention. She's saying, I believe in myself. I can see this. I can do this. And it's a nice sort of rebound past that Three of Swords energy that we were clarifying. It's really important to map out your goals for the next portion of the year. When you put it in writing, it's a contract with yourself. So just making a one-sheet goal in advance of New Year's. But if you want to do it on New Year's, that's fine. It doesn't have to be resolutions. I was talking to a family member, actually a friend, but she's family to me. Isn't it interesting, as we get older, I think of friends as family. But it's an old teacher that I keep in touch with. But I was talking about what I was manifesting for this year and next year. And I said the main things that I was looking for this year was health and a home. And then I want next year just to focus on increased abundance in my life and love. But I separated them over the 2 years because there was a lot to heal with respect to health, and it was important to find shelter. But as an adult, these are the things that I want. I don't need stuff under the tree. I don't need things, gifted to me. It's more sort of like kind of what I'm looking at here in the expanded forecast just a few moments ago, but the important things. But I wrote it, I spoke it a few times to people, and I'm like, I got my wishes for my birthday and for Christmas, and now next year I'm going to manifest the other stuff. I just really wanted to be healthy and have a roof over my head. That was my holiday wish, and I got it in advance. So believe that you can get it, even if you've been through the ringer. It's that last minute before you think that it's going to work that things will magically start to manifest. You can't lose hope. You have to just stay the course and be the light. Okay? That's going to be really important here. But write it down and speak it. The reason in this is because words are powerful. There's a reason that prayers work. You feel it, you're thinking it, and you're saying it. And mantras and spells and all that jazz, it's all the same, folks. Whether you're reading Shakespeare or you're reading a prayer, when you start to believe it, when you start to act it out, you're starting to put power into it. So the words are power, and they have the ability to stick around. So put some positive energy into your auric field, into your life, into your journal. Get started on a project that you care about. Do it before the retrograde hits at the end of the month. Or even if you're in the middle of a retrograde, finish something that you wanted to finish a long time ago. You can always do that. And do the planning. This can be planning and researching. I just see really good stuff for you in the month ahead. This is an abundance in resources too. We like the 8 of Pentacles. It's 1 away from the 9, which already came through for you. All that limited stuff in the past, the 4 and the 5, is really in the past, folks, okay? So it's a good month ahead for you, primarily when it comes to getting ahead in anything that you want to learn, anything that you want to finish, and learning and expanding. So couldn't ask for a better card for Sun. Let's move on to Rising. You're being asked to choose. I read the 2 of Pentacles not as resources so much as a choice. Work-life balance, or when we look at the cards, two equally kind of weighted opportunities. One where you really feel like this makes sense. One where it just feels right. One thing that I want you to look at is the tendency in the past to go for this and not this. Go for the thing that feels right. Money isn't everything. Money isn't enough to compensate for this. There's a reason that sometimes when people give ridiculous ultimatums and expect people to work nonstop work hours in a work week, that people are just going to say, I can't do it. I won't do it. We have finite limits. So choose something that makes sense for you. And the good news is, as with any of the 2s, you have 2 choices, 2 aces. So one is going to be better than the other for you. And you can always come back to the other one later if you want to. You're just being asked to be focused on your intentions and also discerning. And it's not always fun to make a choice, folks, but it's worth it. There may be aspects of your life that are out of balance. You can't push it much more than this month. So speak up, ask for more, ask for help, get some clarity. You can do it. Watch your overall balance. This actually veers into both figurative and actual. So if you're having issues with balance, like you're feeling weakness in your knees, that could be something that you want to talk to the doctor about. If you have vertigo or something of that nature, again, talk to your doctor. But for most of us, it's just the feeling like I can only do this for so long. Remember I said sprints or or peaks and valleys, sprints and stops. You're going to need to make sure that you get the rest as well. And that's important. Otherwise, I think it's fine. Just make a choice, find the balance that fits for you. You don't owe anybody an explanation but yourself. Looking at moon sign, slow, steady recovery. You're getting there. Seven of Pentacles is growth. We can see a new start there. We see the roots growing. We see him taking care of it, really nurturing it. I love gardening. I love propagating new things. I have a friend that just got some new starts. This reminds me of her. And the thing that you have to be patient of whenever you get something like that is it's not going to grow overnight. It's not Jack and the Beanstalk, right? When it comes to our financial future, sometimes we make mistakes. All that matters is that you learn from them and that you're smarter in the future. Relationships, same thing. How we spend our time and energy, same thing. If you have a fracture in your body like I had, same thing. It's not going to heal overnight. I'm going on my 3rd month of recovery for that little fracture. Every day is a little bit better. I still have some days where it's sore. And with this, you don't want to push to the point of breaking. The 7 of Pentacles is a distant cousin with the 7 of Swords, because what can happen is you can fall back into the habit of overcommitting. And when you overcommit and you can't come through, then you tell something that's not true. It's not a lie. It's just like it's not accountable. So we don't want that to happen. Be accountable. Don't push yourself. These 2 cards are very similar, actually. So we got this for rising. We have this for you. This is a rubber band that can break if pushed too much. This is something that's just starting to grow, so you don't want to overextend it. So some very common messages as I'm looking at the rising and moon. It feels like sun is on balance, though, on point with the 8 of Pentacles. So everything is about keeping an eye on the resources, knowing where you're at, and not overextending or pushing yourself too much. So I like it when we have some synchronicities and some common energies. Okay, now we're going to move along to the special portion of today's reading, where we take a look at the 4 quarters of 2023. I have to keep thinking before I say it, because it's kind of amazing that we're already there. The last 3 or 4 years have just flown by. Parts of them felt like they were moving like a snail. But when you say we're entering into 2023, to me, that sounds like a date that I was never going to say as a kid. So it's kind of amazing. All right, let me pull the 4 quarters of the year, and then we'll look at them piece by piece. By the way, thanks to everybody that's giving stickers. I will say your name at the end of the video. Okay, back to this. Looking at 1st quarter, January, February, and March. 2nd quarter, April, May, and June. 3rd quarter, July, August, and September. 4th quarter, October, November, and December. It's a pretty good year for you, actually. I like all the cards. They're all bright. That's not always the case when I'm looking at the 4 quarters. You definitely are in for a decent year. So let's begin with Q1, January, February, and March. We have the Queen of Swords. It's a time for movement. It's a time when your words and actions are going to be seen, heard, and again, I mentioned that there's power behind them. So try to stay positive. Like attracts like. I like this card in particular because right underneath it, she's almost put it in hiding. Can you see the cup under the throne? So basically, she's kind of saving this for a rainy day, but I would say there's something that you've been waiting to explore or expand upon. That ace wants to come through in the year ahead. So my question to you is, what's holding you back? It feels like the 1st quarter, January, February, or March, is a time to let go, a time to explore, a time to put yourself out there and see what that cup has to show. Let's see what else is coming through on this one. I do like that she's contemplating. She's learned the lesson of speaking before thinking. Thinking before speaking. Because most of us do the what I said before. We just kind of let it out and say what's on our mind. So it's going to be really important for you to make sure that you are aware and willing to speak what you need to say what you need to say. I got a bonus card here, so I'm going to look back real quick and see which one this was stuck to so I can identify it. Let's see. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, that's right. There's 4 quarters, not 3. All right. So anyway, with the 1st quarter of the year, I think the important thing for you right now, again, is to take action and follow your heart. And this is a time where if you wanted to put something in writing, if you want to get someone's signature, all of these things are pretty well supported. Okay. So I like what I see with this. Also, I see good news incoming. It may take a month or two for this to come in, but we do see that good news coming from afar. So there could be an unexpected note, letter, or something like that that's coming in. Keep an eye, make sure that you're reading your emails, checking your voicemails. You don't want to miss something. For some reason, that's what I'm being guided to say there. Good first quarter. You're in a position of power, and we see things moving in your favor. If you want a more granular reading with all 12 months, tune in as I do. I'm going to do 2 back-to-back readings, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Probably New Year's Eve will be a 12-month forecast, a collective. So we'll drill a little deeper into all 12 months there, and you'll probably be able to see a little bit more granularity there. All right, so we like the first quarter. Let's move from Q1 to Q2. This is where you start to see the proof of the pudding. 10 of Pentacles is money, it's marriage, it's jobs, it's opportunity, and it's all of this kind of rushing toward you. So it's call and answer, folks. You have to ask for it first, you have to go for it first, but if you put it out there, if you start to really put the pen to the paper, then I really love what I see here for the second quarter of the year. So again, this would be April, May, and June. In April, May, and June, this is a good time to try to sell a product. It's a good time to try to get a job, try to buy a house, propose to somebody. Anything that you want to see done or want to see come into the material world, we see it being well received with open arms. And you're in a very good social position. This can be a little bit more of a lone wolf or a sort of independent operative, but when we're looking at this, it's definitely you working with others and working well with others. And we see a big, gigantic ace in the background, so there's more where that came from. A very strong second quarter. If you're looking also for the birthing of something, because this is a family card, we could see that birthing energy coming through as well. Now moving to the second half of the year, the third quarter. So this will be July, August, and September. This is the first time where we see you having to push just a little bit more. The Nine of Wands is stubborn. She's still carrying that flame there, or the torch, but she's been through the ringer a few times. In this particular card, we don't see it so much. Typically, you would see a bandage around the person's forehead. Sometimes you even see them like with a sprained arm or something like that. And it's basically saying, I had to elbow my way through this. I had to go head to head, toe to toe with someone, but I did it. But I got to the finish line. So don't give up. You're going to have to put in a little bit more effort. It's worth it. You may have to fight for some things that matter. You have a good chance of winning. You have a good chance of receiving it. Things that are a headache to you, it's time to let go of them. You don't have as much bandwidth to pay attention to them anymore. You're very close to wanting to step into something or away from something. This is almost completion. Don't give up on something before it's finished. Don't jump into something before it's ready. That's the main thing with the 9. It's half-baked. We want to make sure it's fully baked so that you can really get what you intended to get out of this. But so far, 3 great cards. I would be happy to pull this in any spread. Now we see the delivery here, the final period, October, November, and December. We have the Fool in reverse. When things happen, they happen quickly again. So just like January promises to be busy, the last quarter does too, but it's asking you to step away from stuff, to let things go rapidly and embrace. This is a card of surrender. It's a fresh start. It's the only one that has no number or the number 0. And the Fool travels lightly. She's just carrying an amethyst here. Normally, she would have a knapsack. But you only need your essentials with the Fool. Usually, there's a dog in it as well. But with that being said, one step at a time. And there is a sense of also like just there's power in surrender. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense when I say it, but trust me. So if there's something that you've built up ostensibly all year to create, all you have to do at the end is let it go and surrender it to the world, especially if it's a project. Surrender yourself to the next calling that the universe has for you and just be free. It's a card of liberation, but sometimes being free is the hardest part. So that's the most challenging part of the year for all of you because you're stepping into new uncharted territories. The map is a little bit undrawn. You may not have everything that you want. You might have to allocate new resources. You're going to have to move through the major arcana again. But you're entering into it with this sense of knowledge and experience. So it's not as hard the second time or the third time. So I see a new beginning for you. This could also be a baby coming into your life. Let's talk about all of these again, quick summary, and then we'll go into the meditation. This is the only one that's a court card, yeah. So the strongest quarter of the year is the first. Things move quickly, things react to you very quickly, and your words and actions manifest, again, faster than you might imagine. Second quarter, you receive a lot. You may not be doing as much, but you receive a lot. You're expected to be busy and be working on things. Your engagement steps up. You're going to have to work with others, and you're going to have to marry up skills and try to find a way to manage all of that. The third quarter is the unruly quarter, where you have to push to get people to do stuff, push to motivate yourself, push to finish, but it's worth it. The fourth quarter is liberation, but you're afraid a little bit initially, and then you ease into the fact that I've been here before, I'll be here again, I can deal with this uncharted territory, it's going to be okay. All of your cards are positive. There's not a bad one in this spread, okay? So you're going to be able to handle next year. I like what I see, and I'm excited to continue to read for you throughout the next year to see how all of these cards unfold, okay? Again, tune into the New Year's Eve special where I'll go a lot deeper into this. I haven't done a month-by-month spread for a long time, so we'll do a month-by-month spread and kind of look at the energy of each month and see what's coming through. Okay, if you just joined, we still have 3 pieces to the reading. We're going to do a quick meditation together, then we'll do a sound bath, and then we'll wrap up with a final card. The final card gives you a chance to ask me a question if there's a burning question that I haven't already answered. Before we do any of that, do me a favor. If it's your first time here and you like this, hit the subscribe. I love doing lives again because they're very fluid and very fun for me, but they are not ranked very well in the YouTube algorithm. In fact, I get about half as much traction when I do live versus pre-recorded or live premieres. So when you see this on replay, share it, comment, give me a heart or like or whatever, and it's going to help out more than you imagine. Join me on social media as well for additional reminders, and thank you in advance to anyone that gave back. I'll make sure to say thanks at the end. Okay, let's get ready for the meditation. I'm looking at all the cards in front of us. It feels like healing is a big part of the story when I'm looking at these because there's a lot of cards that show the ability to mend a broken heart, the ability to accept new things, to let go of these old limitations. So I feel like that's what we need to do. Let's work a little bit with the energy of January and imagine, I'll probably do this again on the New Year's meditations, but I'll pull Janus into those. But for this one, we're going to imagine that we're at the portal and that you have the ability to look at the past and the future, and you're going to embrace the future. That's the short end of this, but let's see what's going on here. Okay, close your eyes, relax for a moment. Take a deep breath, stretch a little bit if you need to, letting go of any sort of energy that you're holding on to. Yawn if you need to. Gently let go of any sort of kinks that you might be holding on to in your neck. You don't have to go in a circle if it's too tight. Just whatever your neck will work with. Let go of some of that tightness. And then take another breath or two and keep your eyes closed. Imagine now that you are listening to this, and you can listen to it again on New Year's Eve. And as you are listening to this meditation, you are staring into the light of a candle that you've created here for your wish for the new year, kind of like a birthday wish. So as you light the candle, just stick with one wish for now. Think of the one thing that you want to see the most movement on, whether it's health or love or wealth, or something that you've been trying to do but you haven't been able to. Maybe it's just clarity itself. Allow yourself to just gaze into the candle and focus on the brilliance and the light and the warmth. It's almost as if you're looking at the sun, even though it's this little tiny light. And then feel as you do this that the light actually starts to grow a little bit. And you can see, if you've ever looked at a candle right around the wick, there's a little darker region where basically, the flames coming out of that. So imagine that there's this beautiful golden halo type portal in front of you, and you can see a little iris, a little opening. And for whatever reason, you think to yourself, I bet you if I just reached out, I could open that up a little bit more, and you do that. As you do that, you see a tunnel of energy in front of you, and you see a light at the end of that. So a light, and then an iris, and then a light at the end of that tunnel. And at the end of that tunnel is what you're looking for, whatever you're waiting for. imagine that you don't have to actually, in this meditation, go through the tunnel. You could just pull that closer to you. With each breath that you take, you start to see it closer, see it clearer. You know that it's a vision. You know that this is a portal. You also realize you're calling it into your life. So as you're starting to see it come into focus, also think some of the following. I believe that I can do this. I am ready. I am making this happen. And just see that you are an active participant in this creation, in this process. And since we didn't have any fire, I thought it would be good to bring a little bit of fire into this meditation. And again, on New Year's Eve, you can do this on your own. You can light a candle, make your wish, close your eyes, and see that coming closer to you. All right? So just breathe, relax. Let me play the singing bowl for a moment or two, and then we'll take a look at your final card. All right, take a nice deep breath. Imagine that flame is now burned down, but that you are carrying the light of that candle in your heart. You are the creator in your own life, of your own future. You exercise your own free will to create, to destroy, to bring about whatever sort of energies that you want in your own life. So just choose to embrace the positive, the possible, and see this as one of those. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Focus now on the final question that you have for me. And let's pull a card and see what the answer is. We've got the King of Swords, which is beautifully aligned with the first quarter of the year. So this is very, very good. This is a yes and a yes-no. It's the ultimate card that I could pull in the suit of swords. I love the multi-channel energy on this. We see a bat, we see an owl, we see a falcon, a dragonfly, all these different sort of, or it's a raven actually, all these different types of communication. Remember that when you want to do something, that one size doesn't fit all. So your path is going to be unique to you. Your communication is going to be tailored to the person or to the group that's going to listen to it. And you have the ability to reach a lot of different souls out there. Make sure that you walk the walk and talk the talk. We need to always see that when we pull a king card. And this is the king of the mountain. It's at the top of the mountain. So get that bird's eye perspective. Look at it from different points of view. As long as you do that, you're going to be in a really good position. So I like this. This has a slightly more springtime energy to it, which is closely connected to those of you in the Southern Hemisphere. But for the rest of us, it might be showing us what's going to happen between the second and third quarters of next year. So whenever spring is for you, I see that being a good time for a lot of these things to come to fruition. Okay? Trust your wisdom. I keep covering up the owl there. We don't want to do that. Trust your wisdom and listen to your intuition. By and large, beautiful card, beautiful message. Nothing negative to say about that. Okay, that brings us to the final portion. So I just want to say thanks. First of all, thanks to everybody that's been with me for several years. I've been doing this consistently since 2015. I started kind of dabbling it in the 2013, but 2015 is when I basically launched the channel and really went in full force. So it's so nice to see many of you with me throughout the journey. Let's take a moment now to say thank you to maybe the newest members first, and then we'll go to any of the SuperStickers and SuperChats for today. So with members, I think we just have one today, Katrina W. thank you for renewing your membership and being a member for 2 months. I do appreciate that. There were a couple that joined yesterday. I wasn't live, but I'm just going to thank them too. YouTube Dreams and Connie Miller, thank you for renewing your memberships. It's good to have you here, and I'm glad that you are a part of this. Okay, now let's take a look at those of you that gave back with a super sticker or a super chat. All right, super stickers, super chats for today's reading. Kicking things off, we have Yvonne Renee, and then also we have Kamikaze Kate. That's a cool name. All right, let's see if there's anyone else. I think that's it for today. It was a pretty easy thank you. So thanks to everyone that showed up. Like I said, do me a favor. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe. Also share it to other social media options. There's a little share button, which will help with that. Good to see so many members in the chat as well. I can see a lot of folks here that are already members. So thank you for your ongoing support. And lots of love from Apollo and I. Like I said, I'll be live tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll be live on Sunday. I think I'm going to take off on Monday because I'll be moving Tuesday and I want to pack everything. I'll still do my 1-card reads. I'll try to get us a day ahead. That's been a goal, but I've just been so busy, folks, because there's been a lot going on in my own life. So I am aware that most of you want it 1 day ahead. It just takes me a little bit of work to get us there, but I'm going to try. So thank you very much. Keep an eye out for some special readings this month. We have coming up the New Year's and New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. We also have, I think solstice is coming up too. So we'll take a look at, I'll make sure that I do something around that as well. So just look at again, if you're subscribed, take a look at my channel page, take a look at my website and follow me on social media. It's all announced there as it happens. All right. Until I see you next, take care of yourselves. Have a great holiday season and a happy new year. And it's good to see all of you. Take care. Bye-bye.